So thank you so much for joining us again. Today I've got Ravi Shankar joining us to share his insights, his experience on a various topics as well. But before we go there, would like to give a formal introduction about him. He's a seasoned HR and operations leader with over 2 decades of experience driving people strategy, compliance, and business transformation across large organizations. Most recently, he was the business unit head, corporate services HRO at Revatha Services, where he led strategic HR initiative, digital transformation, and P&L-driven operations across 20 plus manufacturing units. With prior leadership roles at all Digi Tech, Cholamandalam Investment and Finance, and Aparajita Corporate Services, he has built strong expertise in statutory compliance, HR automation, and large scale workforce management. He is known in the industry for combining strategic planning with data driven HR practices to enhance productivity, efficiency, and organizational growth. Thank you so much, Ravi, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Rishi.
Ravi, the first question, that we have in this podcast is the new labor codes, which have come up
Okay.
very recently. So India's new labor codes have come into force, are expected to fundamentally reshape compliance for companies. But from your experience, managing statutory compliance across large organizations and multiple states, what are the most important challenges businesses should actually prepare for?
So one, actually, it was fragmented earlier, but now it is an integrated complaint solution. So the government has been moved towards manual to digital. The major challenges for the employer is the KIAS, what is applicable to them and how to take it forward. That challenges are there with many of the employer, and no one has many actually they have not start preparing for the inspection defense. But the major challenges, see the changes. Maybe if you ask me this to give the summary, that it is like 29 acts have been subsumed in four labor codes. So that itself, it's a major change. Second, actually, universal wages definition. Earlier, it was like a different wages definition was there for PF1, ESI1, wages one, etc. And a lot of cases, a lot of confusion it was there earlier. But now it is only one definition. It is universal wages definition. It is there in code on wages. Second, there is a clear-cut definition between employee and worker. So that classification is very much important for any of the organization. Otherwise, actually, it will be very difficult for them to understand that what is applicable and what is not applicable to them, to the workforce. That is because actually till there are state tax are not repealed, it is still there. So it means that for certain workforce, the state rules may follow the working conditions, etc., the leave provisions, etc. That will the employer has to follow the state rules, and for certain workforce they have to follow the OSH code. So that confusion is there. And third is the digitalization. So the government has given all the options to digitalize their data. It means that many e-format can be prepared. Initially, it was like manual, but now it is digitalized. That is one. It means like e-registers can be prepared, e-return can be filed, and e-inspection, that is also there. So there is the shift is from manual to e-inspection. So it means only online inspection will be there. As like how we are speaking, that it will be there for the companies. The authority will come only through the web for the inspection. That is another sign of improvement. Finally, the accountability has moved to the managing directors. It was like that in many other countries, actually, the compliance is very stringent. Most of the companies, the first actually, whenever they are opening a company over there, they will just look into the compliance part. The first focus is on the complaints. But India, it was not like that. But now that shift has been moved. So it means like the directors are responsible for all the non-compliance. So that is another shift that is there. So these are some of that. But there is some maybe if you ask me to talk, I can talk even for another 1 hour on the changes.
Absolutely, you have mentioned the important ones actually, Ravi, and these pointers are very critical for any organization, and that is where the help of experts like you is important because you have handled compliance for organizations with thousands of employees and hundreds of branches across India. From your experience, Ravi, what are the biggest operational challenges companies face when they are trying to implement labor law compliance consistently across different states?
See, one is the multi-state and multi-rules, and then there are different enforcement mechanisms are available in India, and no one knows what is applicable and what is not applicable. And there are different register formats, different licenses, different working hours, leave rules, etc. So in practices of inspectors too, it is different compared to one state to another. So this was a major challenge. And second is that the operation scaling up is also it is very difficult because see each and every location follows different complaints processes. So that was a second challenge which they have it. And then the major is the contract workforce management, where when they are handling multi contractors operating in multi states, there actually the principal employer is responsible for the wage payments of the contract laborers and the statutory payments. So monitoring them is the major challenge for any of the industry in India. See, mostly actually like all the MNCs actually they have invested in technology and they just monitoring through platforms just to standardize the process and to comply with all the requirements under various labor laws.
Right.
Actually, like so as I said, the three challenges. That's it on this front: the multi-state
Got it.
and the contractor compliance, and the processes differ from state to state.
Yes. Now, when we see organizations operating across various states, they usually rely on HR outsourcing partners to manage
Okay.
statutory compliances and workforce operations. So, how is this, HRO industry, HR, outsourcing partners industry evolving as companies look for more strategic support rather than just compliance processing?
See, in complaints, you cannot find more service providers or the professional service providers in India. See, most of them are local players, and they have either they would have retired from the government organization, and they would have
Yes.
started this, or someone of their relatives they have started, and they are utilizing that relationship, and they are doing this compliance. So.
Yes.
If you see that Indian market is huge, but whereas the number one is handling close to 500 crores complaints business. There were I read an article where I find that Indian complaints market is close to 2 crores. Sorry, it means 2,000 crores. But whereas only 500 crores it is there with the organized players. The unorganized players are there. They are the one actually capture the 80% of the market. So it is almost like it is a transactional services. And moreover, you know that it is complaints itself. It is a non-core activity in HR. So most of them they are outsourcing it. But the problem is instead of doing the complaints, they're just managing it. That's a challenge. That shift will happen in new labor code part. The demand is mostly actually now the technology demand is there from all the companies. They are looking for the dashboards, the analytics, and then they are also looking for the proactive alerts. So that will help them in anticipate the potential violations. Second, actually, they also want the integrated workforce grievance services to handle the workforce. So a lot of queries it has been raised by many of the workforces under PF, ESI, even the contract labor workforce also raising certain queries on their documentation part, policy framework, etc. So this is also one of the important services which most of the clients are expecting it. And third, if you ask, they are looking for a complaints transformation partners, not the one actually who can just prepare it and submit it. So this is going to be the shift in the HRO for another 10 years.
Got it. One is you mentioned about the technology involvement inside compliance. The second one, what you talked about, is a transformation, partner who helps in forming the things, especially when it comes to statutory compliances. And the third is the role of experts is very important over here because you don't have to just, kind of manage the compliances, but do the compliances as well. So
Right.
that is very critical. Yes. Now, Ravi, you have led initiatives involving HR automation and RPA as well, robot process automation, in compliance management. So, how can technology help organizations manage complex regulatory environment like the new labor codes, have come up more efficiently?
So the first is the discovery agent. As I said earlier, what is applicable to them, that is going to be the major chunk. So it means the system should provide that what is applicable to them and what is not applicable to them, and what are the tasks it is required, which section, which rules, which template it is required to be prepared, and what is the implication for the non-compliance. So all these things are required as a dashboard for any of the company. That is just to monitor the compliance for them. One is to discover and second is to monitor. And now this DPTP Act is there. It is going to be implemented in another 14 months. The data integration across all the systems are going to be, will have a huge impact. So there are different legacy systems that is available with many of the employers. And connecting them and getting the data is not that easy because each and every system operates in silos. So linking to that data and getting that one in one particular DB and then validating and preparing the compliance report is the one. It is going to be the requirement under the HR automation. And there are predictive compliance analytics which can be there. That is like say. So based on the past trend, the past 1 year, actually, they can also say that you are paying the PF on 14th of every month. So this can be improvised. So that report can be go to the top level. Or sometimes actually like there may be holidays it's coming in the due date. I'm just taking PF as example because everyone knows that what is PF.
Yes.
So if it is 15th, everyone knows that it is 15th is required to be remitted. So in case of any holidays coming in, then the predictive analysis report will go to the concerned team before the prior to that month. So by which actually they know that okay, this is what it is required to be done, and they can change the pattern. So that is this is going to be the game changer because now AI is there, everything is possible on that trend. And this 50% wage rule, there are one time actually everyone can prepare the compensation structure, but whereas there should be a automation structure by which actually any given point of time that in case of any changes happened, so they themselves they can go and they can use a simulation and what they can do is they can use a simulation and they can find out that what is applicable, what is whether it is complied under this 50% wage rule or not.
Yes.
So most of the companies they will expect AI-driven governance systems, discovery agent, and second is it is the AI-driven analytics, and third it is even government also going to come up with the API. So the service provider or the HR automation will have the API. So by which actually it will go and sit in the government portal automatically. So without any manual intervention. So these are the changes which is very much required, and this will help the organization in handling the complex regulatory environments.
So government will also come up with an API, like, so that
Yeah, right.
compliance.
See, one is actually there are different portals. It is there already. PF, PSI, the Factory Act. There is a portal. So government will give a API. Otherwise, they will allow RPA to update data instead of human. So now human being they are updating the data in the system. So obviously, actually, like in case if at all there is thousands of data which is required to be updated, definitely there may be error. It can be expected.
Yes.
It's a monotonous work. So the government also come up with API, or otherwise the automation can be done through RPA, by which the human intervention can be reduced.
So Ravi, what you also are kind of hinting is that people with a technology edge will survive in the market. Like, compliance experts who have been doing compliance, like you told, it's a very unstructured market. 80% of them is being handled by, not so established players. So only those players will survive who know how to handle compliance and have a technology angle involved.
Yes. See, what is required is one is the legal expertise. Legal expertise is very much required. They should know that what the section says, what the rule says, and what is the interpretation, and how it is required to be handled, and what is the terminology used in each and every compensation, and is there any whether the policy is aligned with the labor code. So for which actually the technology. So the legal expertise support is very much required. Say example now special allowances. So all the allowances it is the balancing allowances. Balancing allowances they are putting in other allowances are special allowances and they are leaving it. But that will fall under the inclusive aspect. So today actually in the wages definition it has two parts. One is inclusive part and second is exclusive part. The exclusive part should not go beyond 50%. So it means that exclusion cannot be 50%. It means that 50% wage rule. So in case they have basic as 50% and if they have special allowance as 30%, then their liability will be not for 50%, it will be for 80%. So no company knows this and they are just, sorry.
Yes.
So they're handling it on their own and
yes.
For which the legal expertise is required. And second is technology to manage the recurring compliances because human would have missed certain things. So because different things are there, different on different dates and different months. So someone has to monitor it and Instead of human monitoring it, if there is a technology, then that will be helpful. And third, it is, as I said, that processing it and updating it in government portal, that can be used by technology. So legal expert and technology is going to play a major role in handling this.
But sir, legal aspect can also be automated now with all these agentic AI coming in. I think
See, the legal expertise, they'll have that experience, so that where the compensation will fit into that.
yes,
Say example, in case of any special defray expenses, it has been paid to any of the employees, say the food elements or the conveyance, etc. So practically, if we see that, it will say it will fall under the exclusion part. But someone has to come and say that what is which percentage is required to be there, and whether a policy is required to be prepared for that particular the component, etc. Say the variable pay and all, it is like they will be paid. Sometimes actually most of the companies they're paying even monthly. Some they are
yes,
paying quarterly, halfly,
mm,
annually, etc. So it has to be aligned with the policy. So
mm,
the A and all will not give that expertise. A just actually it will just read the book and it will say whatever source it is available in the available, and through which actually it will throw its own recommendation. But
yes,
only the legal experts, because a lot of judgments also there, a lot of interpretation there. So even if you take any of the judgment, there will be different aspects will be there. So
yes,
only the legal expertise can go and view and find out that why the judgment has been given. For a similar scenario, different judgments will be there. That is because of if only one or two minor, the one actually which is missed in one, for which actually two different judgments would have been given. So
yes.
that expertise will not go, and that will be there. And at least for another 5 years, actually, that legal expertise is very much required for handling the new labor code implementation. Yes, as you said, right, that will be stereotype over the period, but it will take at least 3 to 5 years. The moment actually there are a lot of litigations comes in and a
Yes.
lot of judgments comes in,
Then
only then actually people know that okay, what exactly it is, and there will be like they can interpret and they can correctly, and then all the stereotype work it has been done earlier that can be followed. Otherwise, actually, it is going to be differ for industry to industry, establishment to establishment, state to state.
And Ravi, you have worked very closely with manufacturing units, where compliance requirements, contract labor management, and workforce documentation are particularly complex. How will this new labor code impact sectors like manufacturing and industrial operations?
So they are experiencing significant operational challenges under the labor codes. Typically, they have large workforces, contract labor deployment, and multi-statutory requirements under factory and safety regulations. So, one major change which I am foreseeing is the Occupation Safety, Health, and Working Conditions Code. So, it has consolidated several laws to workplace safety and operational standards. So, the company has to have a stronger systems of worker registration, safety documentation, working hour monitoring, and welfare provisions. Another impact is the contract labor complaints. They have mostly they are rely heavily on the contractors for operations such as maintenance, SCM, and support services. So under the new labor code, the principal employer will face greater scrutiny in ensuring that contractors comply with wage payments and social security obligations. If you see that, though there are few liabilities, it has been shifted to contractors, but still the principal employer is liable for the complaints of contractors. And the long-term liabilities such as gratuity and provident fund, which may increase the statutory cost for many companies. So it means that they will rely on allowance-heavy salary structures.
Yes, yes, yes,
Manufacturing companies, therefore, need to strengthen their compliance governance, contractor oversight mechanisms, and workforce documentation systems to remain compliant under the new regime. So, see, it is not that easy because actually they are following certain provisions, and suddenly there is a sick that is going to be there, and that too on the contract labor complaints, and the salary, the CTC will go up, and the see one is earlier actually like the employee or worker, if in case of any issues they can go on, then they can there are a lot of process involved for filing a case against a company, but
right.
now it is simple actually, anyone can go and then they can file it, and then the proof of burden, the evidence,
Yes. Like on the
in case of
employer.
any wages,
Yes,
if someone is going and saying that I have not been paid with this allowance,
yeah,
etc., then the proof of burden is with the employer.
yeah,
So it means that the each and every hearing, the the authorized person from the company has to go to court to appear.
yes.
So that they are going to face a major challenge on this particular thread.
And this is in one way is very good also actually, Ravi, because India needed such kind of regulations in order to safeguard the interest of the labor and the contract employees as well. So how is the kind of mood around it? Like people are liking it, or people are kind of disliking it more?
See, mood of the nation, if you say that it is see, the changes are already there actually. This code, it has been enacted from 2019. From that day onwards, actually, like there are a lot of confusion, a lot of things started happening.
Mm.
But it is good for the good companies as well as for the country. See, only 10 crores, there are 70 to 80 crores workforce is there in India, but out of which
Yes.
only 10 crores are organized. So remaining
Mm.
some 70 to 60 to 70 crores employees are unorganized. There is no social security benefit to them, and there is no standardized working conditions for them. Say example, you know that all the platform partners, Ola, Uber, and all, and there is no social security. So it means they can log in and then they can do the work and then they can go. They'll get the money and then they'll move out, right?
Yes.
And then there are it is not only them, there are a lot of freelancers working without any social security, and there
Yeah.
are building and other construction workers. You know that there actually you find that the floating population will be there. They'll be there for 3 days and they'll not be there for another 10 days. Again they'll come and they'll go to different construction site. So
Mm.
these are all going to be the but someone has to regulate it. Only then actually they will also get the social security, by which actually that the status of their family also will grow. So yes, as you rightly said, yes, it is very much need. Though
Yes.
whether the companies like it or not, but
Yeah.
this is going to be the governance for them to implement.
I think this will be a precursor to the social security scheme, basically, which is already there in
Correct.
the US. I think this can act as a precursor to that.
Right.
Ravi, when you look ahead, how do you see workforce governance evolving in India as companies adopt digital HR platform, predictive workflow force analytics, and new regulatory framework?
Okay. So now workforce governance in India is entering into a new phase. So where compliance, technology, workforce strategy, so these are all going to become deeply interconnected. So
Hmm.
historically, if you see that labor complaints was treated as a back office administrative function. So now, uh, with the increasing regulatory scrutiny and workforce complexities, organizations are beginning to view compliance as a core element of corporate governance and risk management. So in the coming years, there will be there are different trends will shape workforce governance in India. So one
Hmm.
is digitalization of compliance systems. So they will adapt digital platforms that integrate payroll, workforce data, and statutory compliance into a single ecosystem. So that is because the DPDP Act that is also going to come into force. So the data protection is going to be very much important. And then the data-driven workforce governance. So
Hmm.
they will use the predictive analytics to monitor compliance risk and then workforce productivity, by which actually they can also reduce the labor cost structures in real time. And finally, if you see that there is a greater regulatory accountability. So it was not there earlier. Now the shift has been there with the employer. So it means that organizations will be expected to demonstrate compliance transparency across their entire workforce. So which includes contract labor and gig workers. So it is going to be a strategic enabler for the sustainable workforce management for all the organizations.
This is great, Ravi. Thank you so much for for this candid conversation and sharing insights around the new labor code and its implications on the manufacturing industry, specifically, and the other industries as well. Hope this session is going to be very helpful for the other leaders who are watching it. And thank you so much for taking out time on this Saturday morning to share these insights.
Thank you. Thanks, Susi.